What is up, Philadelphia? What is up, national pundits? And let me tell you, it's happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And this Heat Ratio Sports, this is Late Nights with Tony Cutillo. We got a lot to talk about tonight, as always. But before we even get into that, as always, like we say, if you want to call into the show, the number is right there. I should say the link. Very, very easy to view. Hit that link, get your live right on the air. My man Rich already checking in. Happy Valentine's Day out to everybody. And first and foremost, just give a moment of prayer out for the unfortunate tragedy, the Kansas City Chiefs parade. Unfortunately, again, you know, I hate to say it, but we just can't have nice things, man. We just can't have nice things. This is a crazy world right now. It just feels like any time that there is some kind of celebration, it's just extremely hard. It's extremely hard to feel safe, and it sucks. It really does. So, prayers go out obviously to everybody in Kansas City trying to enjoy that and as part of that tragedy. But tonight, we got a lot of great conversation ahead, especially if you're in the world of Philadelphia, because we've got some big storylines tonight. Talking about, and again, I want to get everybody's take. We talked a little bit about it on Monday, but I did some more digging, and I did some more research, and I formulated my own opinion, which I like to do, and I'm ready to move on from Haason Reddick. Okay, you know, we used to have a rule in this town that I don't want to bring back the Joe Banner rule. The 30 rule, right? We remember the age of 30 rule from Joe Banner, who, listen, he put it in for a reason, right? He was adamant about, 30 years old. Once you hit that 30-year-old threshold, it was time for you to go. That was Joe Banner's rule. And all I want to challenge the audience to tonight is just to tell me what you see, to tell me, for a fact, okay, that Haason Reddick was put in bad positions last year. Except for those couple things of coverage and this and that. Like, do you know that for a fact? And Rich, 100%, yeah. I don't believe that for one bit. I don't believe that for one bit. Okay? Honestly, that came somewhere. That came from somewhere. And it did not come from the Eagles. That is being in PR myself, that was a total PR move. All that was trying to cover up the story, in my opinion. Right? That's just in my opinion. And the funny thing is, I wouldn't say that if it didn't already happen this year. Remember, there were whispers. Remember, we already knew he wasn't happy. He wanted to be paid. He's in the last year, he wants to be paid again. He feels like he overperformed his deal. But my point to that, and I again, is he a game changer? And that's what I have to ask everybody. Is Haason Reddick a game changer? I don't think he is. I think he's a very, very good pass rushing specialist. But he's not an every down disruptor. He's just not. So how can you pay him like a Myles Garrett or a TJ Watt? Because that's what he wants to get paid as. And I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't do it. And that's my biggest thing. We saw what happened this year. We saw a great year from James Bradbury. And then we paid him. And now what happened? Got burnt, right? Got burnt. And yeah, you know what, Rich? I will tell you, you're right. But unfortunately, in the game of football, I actually agree with them. I do. And the only reason why I say that is because you see what these owners do, man. You see what these teams do and these owners do. They are quick to flip that switch, man. There is no job security in the NFL. And when you go out there and you blow your body up and you can't play anymore or something happens, nobody cares about you. And I look at that all the time. They want to cut you, they cut you. They want to trade you, they trade. Like, there's no, no morality when it comes to the owners of the NFL. So I understand that part of it. Like, I get it. I 100%. I get the holdouts. I listen. I tell you, I don't think any NFL player. I think not one NFL player should play on a lame duck deal. I just don't. I know everybody thinks I'm going to say I'm crazy by that, but with the violent nature of that sport, and I get it. They're putting their bodies on the line. I understand that, but if these players, these high profile players, especially quarterbacks, they put their lives on the line. They really do. I mean, because if they don't put flags on them soon, one of these guys is going to get killed, right? You got a guy like Chris Jones coming unblocked in the Super Bowl. I still don't know how that happens, but I look at it and I say they have to get some sense of security. They have to. And nobody cares when they can't play anymore. So I would hold out and I wouldn't play on a lame duck deal. Now, this is a little different, right? This is a little different. You say, well, Haason, you signed this deal. You wanted the deal. And all these players, I think, in their opinion, they always think, well, if I outplay this deal, I know it was bad, but if I outplay this deal, then they're going to renegotiate with me anyway. And they already think it's a definite. And they think that it's already within the realm of possibilities, right? But that's not always the case. That's not always the case. I mean, look, we just talked about Chris Jones. Chris Jones held out. Good for him. He held out. But again, they still didn't sign him on a long-term deal, right? They still didn't sign him on a long-term deal. But the Eagles really have to be careful with this, okay? Now, the reason why, Rich, I say trade him is because even if he didn't request a trade, if you already know that you're not going to sign him after this year and you're bringing him in on a 1-year deal, essentially, and somebody's going to give you something of value for him, I don't know, man. I think 100% that you make the deal. I do. I think you make the deal. And the reason why I say that is, you have to look at this and especially look at the way Kansas City was built, right? These are homegrown guys. These are homegrown guys. And now you're seeing the problem with what was going on with the Philadelphia Eagles, where everybody thought we were drafting so well. Maybe we really weren't, right? Maybe we really weren't signing that. We were drafting that well, right? Jalen Carter took a huge regression step back. We still don't even know if, Jordan Davis is going to be able to play a full year. We don't even know if he's a full-time player. So there's a lot of question marks when it comes to, our draft. Now, can Nolan Smith be an adequate replacement to at least cause some kind of pressure? I would hope. I mean, he's a trade. I mean, he's a drafted guy, high drafted guy that, again, from that Georgia Bulldog mentality that was supposed to be over like an automatic Madden hit stick out there. But, listen, we got to see it. We got to see it. And if they draft it well, that'll happen. But look at all the drafted players that the Chiefs had that made immediate impacts last year and this year. It's amazing. The young guys that made the impact. I asked that before on the show earlier was, how come the Chiefs can do it, but we can't? How come we always have to wait? We always have to wait for our players to develop. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. My man David checking in says, There was Lakewood shooting last Sunday during the Super Bowl. Really? I had no idea, David. I had no idea. That's crazy if that's the case. Wow. That's really nuts. That's really nuts if that's the case. Jeez. Well, all I know is there is way, way too many shootings in this world. And it's not getting any better. It's not getting any better. Now, I posed this question on Facebook, and my man Chuck checking in says, Riddick has to stay, Tony. He's our best pass rusher. He stays. Agree with you on Wheeler, though. Pay him what he needs. And like I just said, I told Chuck, I said, to be honest, his age scares me, and I think he may actually be in decline. He's not a specialist, not a full-time disruptor, yet he wants to be paid like one. I think we have to be wary of that. I do. I think we have to be wary of that. And, Howie, you're right. You're right, Rich. Howie starting defense had to hit on any of his picks. Nobody's talking about that, though. I mean, this goes back to Derek Barnett. Now, you could say Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat, has shown some really good progress. He has. But still, you've had some very, very high draft picks that have not hit at all. Very, very high draft picks that have not hit at all. So that's one thing that you have to look into. Okay, is why aren't they hitting? Why are other teams having success? And is it a coaching thing? I highly doubt it. I just think maybe you're picking the wrong guys. Or maybe you're picking the wrong guys for your scheme. I don't know. All I know is this defense was really, really bad last year. Okay. And if these guys are not going to change the culture of saying that they do not value the linebacker position, then they better sure as hell get some strength up on that defensive line. Right? 100%. Rich says Eagles signed a pass rusher today. Yeah, from former third-round pick from Detroit. I did see that. Former third-round pick from Detroit. I don't know a lot about him. Let me see. I don't know. Was he injured? You know what I mean? Former third-round pick, it says. Julian Quara. Yeah. I mean, future deal. That's all it says. Says he's 26, was taken by Detroit in the third round after a 4-year career at Notre Dame. Had a career year in 2021. Played a career best 13 games. Did a little bit of everything, it says, on the field. Finished that season with 27 total tackles, 5 sacks, fumble recovery, interception, 2 passes defended. In his career, he's tallied 9 sacks. The Eagles front 7. Didn't play up to standard. He should make the 53-man roster. Adding a guy like Aquara to the mix could help provide a spark, especially with potential departures of Fletcher Cox and Haason Reddick, despite his false trade request. So it's a depth move, right? It's a depth move, and it's something that we always do. But again, are we really going to play this game again? Are we really going to play this game again? That's my issue, man. Like, why don't we just go get the guy? Why do we have to settle all the time for maybe guys who can't play? Maybe guys we hope they can play, right? I mean, that's the problem. Rich says Howie comes from that banner school of thinking, undervaluing linebackers as secondary. Yeah, I mean, he did pay. He did pay in the secondary, but even the guys he drafted in secondary haven't panned out, right? And so that's why we're constantly talking about trades and guys like a Patrick Surtain. Can we get somebody like that? We never had to worry about that. We never had to worry about that. And I'm going to ask it again. How do we know Haason Reddick is not on the decline. Because if you look at his overall numbers, okay, and again, one thing about this guy, extremely durable, right? He's played every single game since he's coming into the league. He's never missed a game. 114 games he's played. Okay. Never missed a game. That's huge. But that also says to you, it's kind of like a curse, right? So in 7 years, he's never missed a game, which means there's a lot of miles on those tires, man. A lot of miles. And I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. Okay. But his solo tackles have dropped since 2020. Even in Carolina, they dropped. Okay. 43 to 37. In 2022, even though he had the huge sack year 16, dropped again to 35. Last year, 29 tackles, only 9 assists. Didn't even get in double digits. Didn't even get in double digits. Total tackles. He goes 68, 49, 38. Again, could we be seeing a guy on a decline? And for somebody who says no, I say, okay, prove it. Prove it. Show me. Tell me. What have you seen? What have you seen that says Haason Reddick is still a stud? What have you seen that says Haason Reddick is still the guy? We don't know. We don't know. That's the problem. We don't know. So listen, I hate to say it, but I am going to, again, I'm going to pivot to the coaches here. And I'm going to say, if these guys feel that she's lost a step, they're there and I'm not, right? So again, looking at the way the league values the defensive position and looking at the way that you get a good, solid player that can obviously help right away, I think that's what you do. I think that's what you do. Right? And Rich said a good point. He says he had like 2 games where he was an impact. After that, he had a sub-bar year in reality. Again, like I said, Rich, he is a specialist. Okay? He's lethal as a specialist, but he's not a defensive full-time disruptor. He's just not. Unfortunately, he's not. He is a specialist. And a specialist now that now just hit 30 years old. So we have to look at that. Extra games in the NFL season that he still hasn't missed. Like I said, you need speed and you need strength. The first thing that's going to break down in a defensive end is speed. Now, Brandon Graham's an anomaly. Okay, you say what you want, but Brandon Graham is blessed beyond belief. The guy seems like he never slows down, keeps himself in phenomenal shape. Now, I'm not saying Haason Reddick doesn't do that, but Brandon Graham isn't actually wanting $40 million a year or some ridiculous number like that either. Okay, so we have to look into that. So I think that's going to be a really good topic on how they handle it. I do. I think it's going to be interesting on how they handle it. And I think if they can get some value, which I do think they can, if they can get some value, I'm all in the trade Haason Reddick wagon. And again, I know he's their best defensive option. I completely understand. Completely. I have no problem with that. But again, be careful because we're not seeing everything everybody else sees either. Okay? We're making a judgment call. We're making a judgment call on what we think. Okay? A judgment call on what we think. But if it's value on a team, let's not kid ourselves. Okay? I don't think we're going to compete for a Super Bowl next year. I think we're going to compete. I know anything can happen, but we just have too many holes, man. We have too many holes, too many changes, too many holes. Do I feel like we'll win the NFC East? Yes, I do. I do. I really do. But you know what? Honestly, It's not going to be easy, man. It's not going to be easy. So, that's where we stand with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's where we stand with the Philadelphia Eagles. My man Al says, I have zero interest in trading Reddick. How many years has it been with double-digit sacks now? Add two more years and figure the numbers out. Al, that's my problem. That's my problem. Think about it. How are you going to pay? How are you going to pay a defensive end that's not a full-time defensive disruptor $40 million a year? How? What are you paying for? He's not in that category where he wants to get paid. If he was realistic, sure, but he's not. He's not. And I'm going to tell you this, man, honestly, okay? That trade request, bro, if you really think that was bullshit, if you really think that didn't come from his camp, come on, man. Of course it did. That was a total PR move that once that leaked out and heard in the low 20s, he's already get paid that. Bro, he signed a 3-year, $45 million contract, right? 3-year, $45 million contract. Okay. I like, again, I'm trying to figure out why we think that we should pay him like TJ Watt, like Chris Jones, like Myles Garrett. I mean, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to pay him like those top players in the league? Because that's what I'm asking. I'm not. No way. No way. I can't do it, man. I just can't do it. We have too many players. He's already making 20 plus mil. So if that's the case, so what? So his number is 16th right now. Okay. He's already come out, Al, and said he wants to be paid like TJ Watt. He wants to be paid like Myles Garrett. And he wants to be paid like Chris Jones. Are you willing to do that? He wants to be in the top 5. I'm not willing to do that. I think that's absurd. I think it's absurd. Now, like Jim says, he wants more. Of course he wants more. He wants job security, right, Jim? I mean, he wants job security. That's what he's looking at. And he wants more than 2. He's already got 1 year this year. He wants a 4-year deal, man. He wants a 4-year deal. So, again, like this is a tough one. But you have to look at this from the fact that, who can you pay? Who do you choose to pay? Because, that's what all this is going to formulate. So if I said to you, if for some reason L'Jarius Sneed can't work out a deal with the Kansas City Chiefs, because you know what happens when Kansas City, when you win the Super Bowl, a lot of people want to get paid, right? Would you rather pay Haason Reddick or L'Jarius Sneed? I think that's very easy. I think that's very, very easy. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd much rather pay for a defensive back than pay for a D lineman that's a specialist. And that's my problem. That's my problem. So here's what I'll tell you. Okay. Let's think about this. Let's be honest. TJ Watt makes $28 million a year. Nick Bosa makes $34 million a year. Joey Bosa, $27 million a year. Myles Garrett, $25 million a year. So yeah, you're right, Al. I am right. I'm wrong. I was thinking about Zack Wheeler, $40 million. That's my fault. But still, Max Crosby's making $23.5 million. Khalil Mack, $23.5 million. Okay. I keep going back and forth, man. You know, I keep going back and forth. I just don't think I give him that money for what he wants. I just don't think. Oh, I think you're gonna cut Bradbury. I think you're gonna cut Bradbury because Bradbury, if you cut Bradbury, from what I understand, if you wait till I don't know if it's April or June, but his cap hit comes out like $4 million. So you're all that's a foregone conclusion. That's a foregone conclusion. He's gone. He will not be here next year. Okay. Rich says, right. I mean, look, 12 and a half sacks and 20, right? 11 and 21, 16 and 22, which was the big year, and 11 and 23. 40. Yeah, I was wrong with the 40 million. He wants to be in that upper echelon. Okay. Yeah, it's already come out. He wants to be the upper echelon. He wants anywhere between 23 and 28 mil. So he wants around $25 million a year. That's what he wants. I am sorry. I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to do that. Yeah, June 1st, Al. You're right. Yep, June 1st. And Jim, you're right. This is his last big contract. I'm not saying I blame him, but I don't want to give it to him. Listen, if he was, here's my thing, and this has nothing to do with Haason Reddick, the guy, right? It has nothing to do with Haason Reddick, the guy. What this has to do with me, okay, is this a final piece to the puzzle? And my answer is no. Like, if you had everything built, right? If Fletcher Cox wasn't, 30 plus years old, if Brandon Graham wasn't 30 plus years old, if Josh Sweat was an inconsistent guy, right? If we already knew what we were getting with Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter didn't regress in the second half of the year, if none of that happened and this line was set up, then absolutely, sure. But not when this is listen, we are in dire straits right now on the defensive side of the ball. I'm sorry, we are. So this move, I think, would hurt more than it helps. And I think they know that, right? I think they know that. Remember, you paid a quarterback. We all have to remember this. You already paid a quarterback, okay? And no matter what you want to say, you still paid a quarterback. You paid a quarterback top 7 money, top 5 money, whatever you want to call it. That still goes against your cap. Howie doesn't work that much magic. Okay. And if Jason Kelce comes back, he's going to get a $20 million deal. Okay. So we need a lot of pieces on this puzzle. And I just don't think a guy who just, again, I don't think this is the kind of, deal that you want to make right now. The Eagles really like to lock people up before their 4th or 5th year. And again, that's Devontae Smith's category. That's Devontae Smith territory. He's going to be a guy they look at to sign long term, right? He's 100% going to be a guy. He's the prime candidate. He's the prime candidate. What goes on with Dallas Goedert? Dallas Goedert's going to have to get paid, right? He wants to get paid big money. You got a lot of people that want to get paid big money, man. You got a lot of people that want to get paid big money. And again, I think you really have to be careful. You really do. We need offensive line help. Lane Johnson ain't going to last forever. I mean, yeah, I think he's got at least a couple more years. I get it. I don't know what's going to happen with Kelce. Nobody knows what's going to happen with Kelce. I'm leaning towards he retires. In my opinion, I think he's beat. I think he's spent. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. I think he's spent. I think, he played injured this year. I again. Now here you go. Perfect timing. So they just proposed a trade on FanDuel, right? You know, these like trade machines. Haason Reddick goes to Detroit for a 2024 second round pick and a 2025 fourth round pick. Do you do that deal? Do you take a second rounder this year and a fourth rounder next year for Haason Reddick? I think I do the deal. I think I do the deal. Second rounder this year is prime talent, right? Prime talent. I mean, again, you have to start looking at the younger guys on controllable contracts. That's what this is all about. It's a chess match, man. It's about who you want to pay. Al, listen, I hear you, but I can't worry about who we help or who we don't help. Honestly, I can't worry. We need to help ourselves, man. Like at the end of the day, we need to help ourselves. I'm not worried about that. I think, again, Jim says smash deal. I agree. Al says, I see them not helping the Lions. I would say, I don't worry about that. I don't. Rich says, I do the deal in a heartbeat. Jim says that would be, and that's a good one. That'd be a great, him and Hutch for Detroit. That would be a great deal for both sides. That gives us the roster flexibility and the money flexibility, right? That we need. And listen, Jim makes a good point. Detroit would be helping the Birds too, right? Now, Detroit was a good team, right? So that second round pick, but you know how Howie can wheel and deal. That second round pick could turn into a first rounder. By the way, he packaged some things up and maybe gets back into the first round. You got to really look at this, realistically, and you have to say to yourself, what do we need most? As long as the offense really gets it back together, we don't need anything on offense. Can somebody tell me what we need on offense? I don't. Maybe you bring in a third receiver. I don't know. Listen, I would re-sign Zacchaeus. I like Mr. Zacchaeus. I do. I think he could prove to be pretty worthy as a 4 or 5 receiver. Okay, so you sign a number 3 receiver. You don't have to make it, or maybe if you're good enough, you can actually. It's amazing when people draft receivers that can actually play in the second or third round. Maybe we could do that, or you go out and listen. It's a pretty good receiver market, a pretty good number 2, number 3 receiver market. Maybe you pull in a guy like Tyler Boyd, right? A really, really good third down receiver, number 3 receiver. Tyler Boyd has been doing it for years for the Cincinnati Bengals, right? He's not going to command a ton of money. That would be a great veteran, not veteran meaning that he's played in the league for, at least 3 years. But again, here's a guy that can help right away. Here's a guy that can run crisp routes. Here's a guy that, isn't afraid to go across the middle. And then if you get a guy like Tyler Boyd and, you're coming A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Tyler Boyd, or Armando Zacchaeus, come on, man. How do we have no money for Boyd, Al? What do you think Tyler Boyd is going to command? You think Tyler Boyd is going to get top 10 receiver money? No. How is he going to get that? How is he going to get that? And what do you think? We're going to re-sign A.J. Brown? Are you the guy who thinks we're going to re-sign A.J. Brown? A.J. Brown signed a 4-year deal, right? He signed a 4-year deal. No way. Tyler Boyd's getting $17 million a year. Man, that's a reach. That's an overpay, man. That's a huge overpay. If he gets 15 to 17 a year, that's a huge overpay, in my opinion, anyway. But again, they have that opportunity to do something like that. But they also, I'm being honest, they have to look, A.J. Brown is max going to be here for 2 years. Oh, but he reset the market. Right? He reset the market. Oh, why do I not have the name in my head, man? Christian Kirk, right? You're talking about Christian Kirk. Different receiver, completely different receiver. But, at that time, he reset the market. At that time, he reset the market. So, I'm just saying that we have to be really careful. That's all. We just have to be really, really careful. Really, really careful. Wow, it's bad, man. Nine children now being treated for gunshot wounds. 9 children. God damn, man. Jesus Christ. It's such a shame. And I don't even want to get into a conversation about guns and all that bullshit, man. It's just a shame. Yo, Jose, what's up, brother? Been a long time, cuz. How you doing, man? I hope all is well. I hope you're staying safe out there. I hope you're not getting killed, in that dump. But been a long time, brother. Been a long time. Maybe we'll see each other one time again. Who knows? Never know what's going to happen at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I just take things day by day, brother. I just take things day by day. Love seeing it. Love seeing all the pics, bro. That your family growing, man. It's a great thing, dude. Seriously. Sounds like it looks like you're having a really good time. I'm sure you enjoyed Valentine's Day with your girls. So that's also awesome too, man. Hope you're staying safe. Rich says, yeah, Tyler is way overpaid at 17 million a year. That's crazy. Al, I'm not saying you're saying he should get it. I know what you're saying. You're saying that's what they're projecting, but that's just a lot of cash, man. That's a lot of cash. Al says the rumor is his OC went to the Titans. They don't have, well, yeah, and they have cat room. I mean, look, obviously they drafted Treylon Burks, who started to come on a little bit, right? He started to come on a little bit last year, and I think that he'll be pretty good. They're going to get rid of Tannehill. Sounds like Tannehill is going to be gone. Possibly maybe he goes to Pittsburgh. I know there's some rumors about Justin Fields now. Who knows? Going to Pittsburgh. There's a lot of stuff going to happen in the NFL. I think this is, to be honest with you, I think this is going to be a crazy off season for the NFL. I do. Yeah, man. Always making sure I'm saying, how that is. Yeah, brother. I'm good, man. I'm really, really good. I feel like sometimes the chains are let loose, so to speak, without saying too much. You know what I'm saying? Living a dream right now, bro. So living a dream, extremely blessed, and going to keep just doing what I love and see what happens, man. It was time. It was time. But yeah, man, stay safe, brother. Stay safe as always. Make sure you keep checking in. Appreciate you checking in. And those Philly post game shows will be coming up soon, man. Get ready. We're gonna be doing it big, like we did in the playoffs last year. We're gonna keep doing it, especially for the Sixers too. So make sure you tune in for that as well. Al says, I think we're about 3 weeks away for free eight. It is. It's gonna be wild, man. It's gonna be wild. It's like March something. I forget what, but it is going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. Speaking of crazy, let's flip to Zack Wheeler. Okay, again, this Heat Ratio Sports is HRS Late Nights. I am Tony Cutillo. Make sure you're following, liking, subscribing. And again, you see girls scrolling across the bottom. Make sure you like and subscribe. HRS in all formats: TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, and make sure you're following the all new Blue Coats Beat podcast wherever you download your podcast from. Got a lot of great content out there. I'm gonna throw myself out there. Al, if you're still listening, I'm gonna throw myself out there. You listen to that Blue Coats Beat. You know why? Because in episode one, I talked about my man Ricky Council. I said my man was going to be a stud. I said, look out, he's going to be up and he's going to be balling. And what is Ricky Council doing, man? Ricky Council's balling. So you got to make sure you listen to that Blue Coats Beat, because me and Coach Joe, man, we keep it real. We tell it like it is, bro. We keep it like it. We keep it like it is. Yeah, man. Glad you're a thrive. Glad to see you doing great and ready for more of these sports talk. It's always a good time and engaging at different topics. Yeah, man. Absolutely, absolutely, man. Yeah, it was. You know what, Jose? Sometimes there's a time. There's a time you gotta make tough decisions, right? And you got to say to yourself, is it, what am I, what's number one, right? What's number one? What's more important? And it looks like I had to make that decision. So, but it's all is good, brother. All is good. Yeah, Council has been playing Rich, he's been amazing. He really has. We'll get into that, but yeah, pay that man whatever he wants. Al, 100%, man. You're talking about Zack Wheeler, right? Talk about Zack Wheeler. But Al says Rick is playing well now, but the question is, will he get time when everyone comes back? You know what, Al? I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Here's what I'll say about that, Al. I don't know when when I made the trade for Buddy Hield, and we had a conversation on Buddy Hield, and my point about the Buddy Hield trade was, during the entire trade deadline, they gave away a couple second round picks, and I said they weren't worried about those second round picks because they saw what they had in Turk and they saw what they had in Ricky. Now, is Ricky Council going to be part of a playoff roster? No. Or playoff rotation? Absolutely not. Of course not. But the minutes he's getting, these, not just minutes, important minutes, critical minutes, right? The minutes he's getting right now are huge, and it's only going to benefit him. Only going to benefit him. That dude is driven like you've never seen. I think it was the Sixers. They posted a video today. I'm sure, Al, you probably seen it because you're like me. We live in the Twitterverse, right? Just trying to pick up new things and stories, right? So you saw him in his pregame, and the man was hustling. Man's a dog, man. He's a dog. And I got to tell you what, not only is he like that, he was like that down at the Chase Fieldhouse too. Okay. He's driven. So I'm so glad to see him popping off, man. So glad to see him popping off. He's doing a tremendous job. But yeah, listen, Philly's got to open up the purse strings for Wheeler, man. He's a horse. He's their number one. He's saying the right things too, man. I'll be honest with you. He's saying the right things. Listen, my man wants to get between 35 and 40 mil, right? He wants to get paid like Garrett Cole. Why not? Right? Why not? I would want to get paid like Garrett Cole too. He's been the top 3 pitcher in baseball, man. This is straight from Zack Wheeler. He says, I want to be paid on how I've done. What they expect out of me, said Wheeler, who will earn $23.6 million this season, man. They got him in a bargain. But that was because, remember, he was awfully injured, right? He had to prove he could stay healthy. And nobody knew if he was a consistent pitcher because they hadn't seen the consistency. But they didn't know, and we didn't know, that they'd be getting like the second coming of Cole Hamels. They didn't know they'd be getting a work ethic of a Doc Holliday. This dude's special, man. This dude's special, right? Very, very special. He says, it's not all about the money to me. He says, I took less to come here and be in a good spot and be happy. I do want what I feel like I've earned. Nothing wrong with that. He's in the last year of his deal, okay? He's in the last year of his deal. And I'll give you some numbers. Now, he signed a 5-year, $118 million deal. All right, remember, with the Mets, he was injured a lot. He never played a full season. Nobody really knew what we were going to get. But the flashes you saw, that's what Philly saw, the flashes. And they knew. Now, they signed Aaron Nola to a big deal. Obviously, Zack Wheeler is looking at that. Every team in baseball, except the Tampa Rays or the Oakland A's, always have 2 top pitchers on their staff. You're going to pay 2 top pitchers, man. And listen, you pay. Here's the thing: you paid, Taijuan Walker like $20 million a year last year. Like when you think about it, right? He didn't even put him on the roster. So listen, Wheeler's still in his prime. He's 33, keeps his body in phenomenal shape. The only good part about Wheeler, since he's been injured so many times throughout his early part of his career, he doesn't have as many innings on his arm as a typical 33-year-old. Okay. Which, let's be honest, that's true. Now, he's finished top 12 in Cy Young Award voting in 3 of his 4 seasons with the Phillies, including runner-up in 21. 43 and 25, 3.06 ERA, ranking 4th in innings with 629 and a third. Only Nola, Garrett Cole, and Sandy Alcantara have pitched more. That's just straight off ESPN.com. No pull, no punches. AP report. Wheeler's 2.42 ERA in the playoffs is 6th best in Major League Baseball history for pitchers with at least 10 starts. Now, where do we want to go, people? We want to go back to the playoffs. What do we want to do? Would it compete for a World Series? Well, why wouldn't you pay a big game pitcher, right? That's what you want to hear. You don't want to have the opposite. You don't want to have when somebody doesn't show up in the playoffs like the Atlanta Braves and Spencer Strider, right? You want a guy who does show up in the playoffs like Zack Wheeler. So this is the guy who needs to anchor your rotation along with Aaron Nola. Very easy. Very, very easy. And again, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Wheeler, Nola, and Suarez is one hell of a 1-2-3. And, Taijuan Walker, I don't know what to make of him. Christopher Sanchez will be really good as a 4. I think Spencer Turnbull, who we just signed, a little reclamation project, I think that he has the opportunity, right? I think he has the opportunity to be very, very serviceable. And I do think that they're going to need another pitcher. I think they really are. I think they're going to get somebody on a short-term deal, man. I do. I really do. Jim says 3 years, 120. Just get it done. Listen, I agree, Jim. I think he's going to want 4, right? I think he's going to want at least 4. But either way, this is a guy you go for, man. You go for. Al says just keep him happy. He wants it done before the season starts to make him happy. And so, unfortunately, Al, I agree with you, but unfortunately, so did Aaron Nola. But it didn't get done, right? It didn't get done. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Obviously they got to wait for the arbitration. They go to arbitration tomorrow with Alec Boehm. They're getting those numbers. Obviously they're going to be talking with Bryce Harper. But the good thing is they could spread this money out and they could defer a little bit of it later on, which could obviously get them in the right frame of mind of where they want to be. Rich says Wheeler is a stud, great guy, good teammate, says the right things. Philly's got him on a bargain. Now it's time to pay the man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Al says, now people may say, what if he gets hurt? Well, if he gets hurt, the season will be over anyway. Right. I mean, listen, anybody can get hurt. We can't worry about that. Right. You can't not pay guys because we're worried about if they get hurt or not. That's just a fact of life. Jim says I would go 4 or maybe a vesting option if you hit some innings threshold. Yeah, listen, I agree. I mean, if I was his agent, like looking, if I could be realistic on the other side, if I'm his agent, I'm going in and I'm saying, well, you gave Aaron Nola 5 years. Why are we getting 3? Right? I mean, that's what I would say. I'd be like, look, the conversation starts at 5. That's what I would think he would do. He wants job security. Remember, everything's guaranteed in baseball. So, the man wants guaranteed. Must be his last contract. Yeah, I get it. 5 years takes him to 38. It's a little different. And then what they're going to do, Jim, you're right. I agree. That's what I was getting to. He's 3 years younger. But here's the thing. They're going to point to guys like Justin Verlander. They're going to point to guys like Max Scherzer. Right? They're going to point to those guys and be like, hey, listen, they got deals at 36, 37, 38. Now, listen, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I mean, they have proof is what I'm saying. And like I said earlier, you tell me if you agree or not, but this is a guy, I'm going to go to his stats. Let's go to his stats only because I want to look at his earlier years because he doesn't have the innings of a normal 33-year-old, right? I mean, that's what I was trying to say because he missed so many games, right? In 2020, he only pitches 11 games. Okay. 2013, 17, 2017, 17. So his innings pitched, here's the thing. He's had 100 or less, 1, 2, 3 times already in his career. All right. So, he's already gained probably about 2 health years based on those 3 years of innings pitched. But this guy's been, whatever. Here's what's amazing to me. It started in 2021. As a pitch, I don't even look at ERA, but if you can average anything under like a 1.10 whip, that is elite, man. Like his whip numbers, 1.01, 1.04, 1.08. Wow. That's insane. That's insane. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball, man. I think he's top 3. I think he's top 3, and he's got to get paid like it. It's simple. It's very, very simple. They can't mess this up with him at all. That's why I said 3 years. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But did Scherzer sign a 3-year deal when he was like early 30s? I thought he signed that when he was like 35 to take him to 38, I thought. You know what? Maybe they just meet in the middle of 4, right? Maybe they just meet in the middle of 4. Either way, I think we both agree he's got to get it done. It's got to get it done. There's just no way in hell you get done. And I think, like I said, I do think that Dombrowski, I'll be honest with you, I really like what he's doing. I really, really, really like what he's doing. I don't know about you guys, but the problem is you don't get it done. Will that annoy him? I 100%. I think that will. I think it will. I think even though he says he just goes about his business, I think to him, it's going to be like, look, I'm asking for one thing, man. I haven't asked for anything. I'm asking for one thing. So, yeah, now Scherzer was 36, Jim. That's what I'm saying. So if he was 36, that takes him to 39. I mean, technically, they could be like, well, look, a 5-year deal takes Wheeler to 38, which is less than what Scherzer was, 2 years after he signed a 3-year deal. So I think, it's apples to oranges, really, but they're definitely going to try to get him the most length, obviously, of a contract that they can, because I do think this will be his last big money deal. I don't think he's going to pitch till he's 42, right? So this will be his last big money deal. Yep, you paid everyone else. I'm your ace. Exactly, Al. And we know Aaron Nola is not the ace. He is not the ace. He's a very good number 2, but he's not the ace. Now, like I was saying, I really like what Dave Dombrowski has done with signing these low-level, bringing in a guy like Colby Allard, nice little trade from the Atlanta Braves, a nice arm out of the bullpen. Signs that, high risk, high reward, deal with Spencer Turnbull, right? Gives him a $2 million deal plus $2 million in incentives if he can stay healthy, right? Spencer Turnbull can pitch, man. Like, honestly, he can pitch. Like, I'm not sure if you know who Spencer Turnbull is, but he can absolutely pitch. And these are, these are the kind of deals that you have to make when you have a high payroll. Okay. Now you can't look at last year. Okay. You can't look at last year. Now he had Tommy John surgery in 2021. Okay. He didn't pitch until May 6th of last year. This dude's the guy who threw a no-hitter. Okay. Against Seattle. He was a 2nd-round draft pick. Listen, he's a guy who had the stuff, but can never be consistent. So you take a chance on a guy like that. You don't know. Maybe he's a long relief guy. Maybe he becomes your spot starter, right? But for the amount of money I think they spent $2 million, right? And they gave him a $2 million incentive laden deal on top of that. I mean, it's a no-brainer. That's the kind of moves that you make. That's the kind of moves that you make. Jim says, yeah, but that Scherzer deal hasn't worked out. So I agree. Meet in the middle. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But, Scherzer, the funny thing about Scherzer is I honestly, I didn't think it was going to work out either. I just thought that he had too many innings on his arm. Really? Yeah, I see his ERA was like 4.56 or something like that last year. Actually, don't even look at what his ERA was last year out. It wasn't good. He was one and four with a 7.26 ERA and 7 starts for Detroit last year, before they released him. So he didn't do well last year. He didn't do well, but that's okay. You know, it's he's 12 and 29 with a 4.55 ERA in 5 seasons with Detroit. Now, Detroit kind of stinks, right? So I don't look at the record because you don't know how much run support he have. 4.55 ERA isn't horrendous, but it's not good, right? It's not good. What they want to see is velocity, right? What's his velocity look like? What's his movement look like? Once they see that, then they can kind of develop him, right? This is a guy who really hasn't been developed. You're talking about, I know he's 31, but with the Tigers, look, 12 and 29. I mean, that's how many games he missed 2 years. I mean, there's a lot to like about this signing, man. There's a lot to like about this. I think this is definitely the kind, like I said, this is the kind of signing you want to make. I still think they're going to get a bat. Keep an eye on Whit Merrifield, man. Just keep an eye on that name. Keep an eye on Whit Merrifield. If you're not familiar with Merrifield, he's basically a utility guy, middle infielder. He played with I think he played with the Blue Jays last year. So and again, he's got a lot. He's got a lot to offer. He does, multiple things. Top of the lineup kind of guy, right? Top of the lineup kind of guy. And you look at what he did with Toronto last year. He made his name in KC. Okay. But last year, decent year, 144 games. He hits 11 home runs. He bats 272. Not terrible. Not terrible. 26 stolen bases. 67 RBIs. I mean, 27 doubles, 149 hits. He hits, man. That's the thing, man. Like, he hits. And then you look at, bringing on a guy with a Kevin Long. Listen, he's a career 284 hitter. Back in KC, when he had his years in 18 and 19, when he batted 304 and 302, that's what you kind of hope. I mean, his best year from a power standpoint, was between 2017, 19 home runs, 2019, 16 home runs. But he's still out there, and this is kind of where, the Phillies, they really make their mark, right? They wait and they hold out the market. That's what happens when you have a team full of superstars, right? When you have a team full of superstars and you already have, most of your positions set, you can kind of sit back and let the market play itself out. Then you can kind of dive in. And I think that's what they're waiting to do, right? They're waiting to do with guys like a Jordan Montgomery we keep hearing about, right? Guys like a Whit Merrifield. They definitely have. Listen, they know, we know that they have to get a center fielder. Whether it's insurance for Rojas or whether it's a guy that they just say, we need to bring this guy in. He's sitting out there. I mean, I get it. It could be, I know he's a second baseman, but could be Whit Merrifield. Could Whit Merrifield play the outfield? Don't know. Never know, right? You never know. But there's some really interesting, interesting free agents that are still sitting out there. And based on what the Phillies have done in the past, I would be shocked if, I know everybody talks about Cody Bellinger. I don't think they're getting Cody Bellinger. I don't. I think that's a pipe dream. If somebody asked me who they would wind up with, you know what? To be honest with you, I like Whit Merrifield. I think that, Whit Merrifield, who can still play the outfield, but probably needs a little more work because he hasn't played in a while. But I do think that, you could look at two guys, again, that I think could really help the Phillies and wouldn't kill their pockets or kill any of their chemistry, is either Eddie Rosario or Whit Merrifield. So all the people that are looking at Bellinger, I would jump off the Bellinger wagon and I would look at a guy like an Eddie Rosario or a guy like Whit Merrifield. Now, Jim says he prefers Adam Duvall, which I like. A big power guy, right? Big power guy. Right hander hitting fourth outfield. I mean, you're 100% right. I've been saying this about Marsh the entire offseason. He needs to move to, in my opinion, here's what this is what I need though, Jim. I can't have Brandon Marsh playing center field. I love Brandon Marsh. I think he's a very athletic dude. I think he's a hell of an outfielder, but he can't play center field. He takes bad routes to the ball, and he needs to be a corner outfielder. For me personally, as long as Bryce is okay, I think the move is you need Marsh in left field. I think you need Schwarber at constant DH. Obviously, Harper plays first, and then you get a guy here who's going to play center field. Right? I mean, I think you got to get a guy to play center field. And because I don't think Rojas is ready. And then I think you have to slowly enter Rojas back in to the fray. But a guy like a Whit Merrifield could be so valuable because he's going to help you give guys like Bryson Stott time off, right? Trey Turner time off. He's going to help you do so much, man. So much. You're right. Here's the thing. But I would say that Merrifield, I would trust more in center field than I would trust Brandon Marsh. Honestly, that's the way I would look at it. That's the only thing I would say. What does Sosa do? Yeah, he's a great utility guy, right? Do we keep do we keep Umunda Sosa? Right? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I would like to have him, but he might wind up somewhere getting a better deal, right? I'm not sure. So, I think a lot of this stuff's in play. Rosario is another good, a decent guy, but again, he's a left-handed swinging outfielder. Do you want another left-hander? I don't know, man. Had down year last year, but these are the kind of guys you're going to look at, man. I do. I think you're really going to look at it. I do think that you'll be able to get. I still think that, and I know everybody's going back and forth, but I still think Jordan Montgomery. I still think that, they find a way to get Jordan Montgomery in here because I think that they saw last year that, when their offense kind of took a shit, they really needed that pitching, and they need to just have a dominant pitching performances. And I think looking at, with Suarez and with Wheeler and Nola, I think if they can get a guy like a Montgomery, man, wow, that could really solidify things. So we'll see. We'll see how much money they're willing to spend. We'll see how much that market comes down for those guys. But I definitely think they're going to go out and they're going to get somebody. I kept seeing the Kelly Jansen trade rumors around too. As a closer, again, I still don't think you need that. I think that you can get by with Alvarado as your closer. And, obviously if you can get, our man back on track, Kirkering, I think, has a bright future. I think he has a really good power arm. Hoffman showed the consistency. I think he has another solid year out of the pen. I think that's a great move. Bringing him back, off the tender deal. But Dominguez is that guy, man. We need to get Sir Anthony back to normal. And I think our bullpen would be fine with the little additions that we've made. And I don't think we have to go out and get a full-time closer. I don't. I think you can make Alvarado that guy. Right. But we got to talk to Topper, even though I trust her Topper. Just like you said, Al, he's got to make the different moves this year, I think. He's got to change it up a little bit. Put a little more faith in those pitchers to go long, man. Put a little more faith in those pitchers to go long. Oh, I didn't see that. That stinks. Yeah, Kelly Jansen. I didn't see that. You know what, Jim? You know this. If it's anything lat, oblique, anything like that, I'm out. I'm out. Like, no, 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 thank you. That's going to be a lingering injury all year long. That will be a lingering injury all year long. So yeah, I'm with you, man. I want nothing at all to do with that. Zero. I want nothing at all to do with that. I would definitely pay. I didn't see that, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Like I said, though, I don't even think we need to go out and make moves like that. I do. We have a very talented team, and you know that you just want live arms, right? That's what you want in a bullpen. You want live arms, and I think I do think the only criticism I have from Thompson is the way he finagled a lot of those guys around. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I get it. I understand, right? He was on record as saying, well, if the middle of the lineup comes up in the seventh inning, I want my closer to take care of those guys. The problem with that is, and I think you guys will agree, it takes a different mental makeup to be a closer in Major League Baseball. These guys like to know what their role is. These guys like to know when they're going to pitch. They prepare for those moments. That's why they're so quirky. Right? That's why they expect certain things, because that's what they do. They prepare for these moments. They say, I know I'm the ninth inning guy. But when one day there's a seventh inning guy, then they're in the ninth inning, and they're in the eighth inning, they only pitch the one batter, they pitch the three batter, man. It screws them up, man. It screws the chemistry up. And it screws the individual chemistry up. And that's not an easy thing to overcome. So I think Topper needs to just set the friggin' bullpen and be like, I don't care who's up. This is the bullpen. This is what we're rolling with. And go from there. And I think this will, I think it'll straighten itself out. I really do. I do think that from a power perspective, man, no worries at all. I'm not worried from a power perspective. I'm not worried from a defensive perspective. I talked about this before, and I'll talk about it again. I was asked in the offseason, give me one player on the Phillies who you think's going to have like a breakout career, phenomenal year that nobody's talking about. And I said, give me Alec Bohm. I think this is the year that Alec Bohm goes absolutely off. That dude has all the talent and the raw ability in the world, man. And he's just starting to put it together, and he's going to start to put together even more. He's driven. He's hungry. He's got such a tremendous build, such a long stride, big bat, quick wrist, can hit power to all different ends of the field. This is a 25 to 30 home run guy just waiting in the wings, man. I'm telling you right now, I would not be shocked if he hits somewhere between 285 and 290 this year, hits anywhere between 25 and 30 home runs, and knocks in 110. From the hot corner, my God, that would be amazing. But I think that's his potential. I think that's his ceiling. I do. And now you're talking about guys at 20 plus home runs who very easily could be a Bryson Stott, Alec Bohm, Trey Turner. I mean, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, possibly. JT Realmuto, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, the list just goes on, man. So that's what's crazy when you think about it. That's what's crazy. Like, they have so much power potential on this team. So I like what they're doing with the bullpen. I like the very small signings. I think that is so key. So key, especially, like I said, when you're a team that already spends a lot of money, right? When you're a team that already spends a lot of money, again, you have to look at it and say, how can we not kill ourselves here? And again, I think that's what they're doing, right? I think that's what they're doing. Listen, a week ago, they claimed Matt Castillo off of waivers from Boston. Okay, that's a huge move. People are gonna be like, so what? Oh, this dude's only 24 years old. He's only 24 years old. Okay. Now, okay. First career, he's 0-3. Who cares? Last year, he was 0-1 with a 4.43 ERA in 7 appearances. I mean, honestly, over 21 games, he has 47 strikeouts. In 21 games, he has 24 walks. Okay. All right. So you have to work on his command. Remember what Jose Alvarado was when he came here. But again, 24 years old, to get a live arm. that's not coming off an injury, not damaged goods, and just wants to learn, man, that's a huge deal. To me, that's a huge deal. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing. These are the deals that you want to make if you're the Philadelphia Phillies. So on that note, I think we've established that we have to see where the money is for Haason Reddick, what they're going to want, what kind of package they can get, what kind of compensation package they get. Then we have to decide are we going to move on from him or are we going to keep him? What are we going to do? And then for the Phillies, listen, I think we all agreed on we're going to pay Zack Wheeler, man. 3-4 year deal, 120, 160, 150. Who knows, man? Who knows? Al says we have to make it back to the World Series this season because if we don't, might start to getting into our heads. Yeah, man. Listen, I think the Phillies are set up for the next 2 to 3 years tops. After that, that's when it gets interesting. So yeah, I think they have that opportunity for the next couple years. They got to get there again, though, man. They got to get there again. Will they get there? They have the pieces to get there, Al. They have the piece to get there. We shall see. We shall see. Well, on another great night of sports talk right here, HRS Heat Ratio Sports. I'm Tony Cutillo, Late Nights with Tony Cutillo. Make sure you give us a follow at Heat Ratio Sports. Make sure you look at all our nice and live content. Got more on the way. Again, some really, really cool things coming up. Baseball show playing. I can't wait to get that rolling. Wrestling, can't wait to get that rolling. Again, a lot of stuff we like to talk about here, man. I like the late night thing. I do. I like the late night thing. It works with my time schedule. I think it works with a lot of your guys' time schedule. And I got to start bringing the guests back. Been maybe this week or next week getting Tony Bruno on, talking about his great network that he's resurrected over there at TBSN. I want to get Michael KB back on, talking about the Sixers during the All-Star break. I got my man Nick Picone coming on, who's a wrestling nut. This is WrestleMania season, so I'll talk about what's going on with the WWE and the indie circuits too. You got a lot of good stuff playing, and as always, appreciate it. Jim, great, yeah, thanks, man, appreciate it. Al, checking in as always, my man, appreciate it. Adam, I know you were there earlier. Rich, you were there. Everybody that there listens, I love the message I get the following day. People go, man, I listen to you every day on the way to work. That's why I do it live like this. I do it live like this, and I leave it on Facebook. So if all you're gonna do is click, man. All you gotta do is click on it. All you gotta do is click on it, and that's what's great. You can listen to it on the radio, listen wherever you want. We're just having a little bit of alternative, right? No wait lines, no hold lines, nobody in my ear saying you can't say this, you can't say that. Just having some fun, man. Just having some fun doing what we love. So everybody, as always, like I say, man, along with staying safe and healthy, prayers again go out to Kansas City. Unfortunately, what has happened, it's just a shame. Absolute shame, tragedy. 9 children wounded, 9 children hurt. Hate to see it. Really do. I just don't know what else to say with it, man. Like we do this all the time. My man Al says, follow me at the 2-minute warning. Make sure you give a follow, man. My man is on X all the time, man. He's in spaces. He's talking to NBA. He's not afraid to shout out the radio, man. My man does it all. Great to have him part of HRS as always. Always keeping things up to speed when it comes to the social headlines. But tomorrow, while you're out and you're thinking, like I ask the people and I tell the people, man, we live in a crazy world right now, but all I ask is try to do one thing, man. Just do one positive thing tomorrow, whether it be for yourself, whether it be for your family, could be for a stranger, or anything. One positive thing, because I say this all the time, man. If we would all just do one more positive thing a day, man, this world would be such a better place. HRS signing out. Talk to you tomorrow night.